Hello, fellow entrepreneurs and goal getters. Welcome to Entrepreneurial Elevation Unleashing Greatness Within, with myself, your host, Kelley Beveridge. If you enjoy this podcast, please follow and download at the links in my show notes below. And if you enjoy this episode, please leave a positive review. Thanks for listening. Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited to be here today. This is my first episode with my podcast, Entrepreneurial Elevation, Unleashing Greatness Within. I'm really excited to be speaking to all of you entrepreneurs, high achievers, goal getters today, specifically because it's the beginning of a new year. And this is typically when we like to set new goals and realign with the things that we want and get clear about what's important to us and where we're going and what kind of success we want for ourselves and those around us. And so today I really want to talk about the feelings that you go through as you set goals and you set your intentions and you work from your point A to your point B. Because I don't know about you, yet I've been an entrepreneur for many years. And a lot of times I'll be in action working on my goals and certain feelings like frustration pop up and overwhelm, or I feel stuck and I'm not quite sure what to do. Or maybe you found yourself in a situation like I did last year, where I'd been in business for quite some time and I simply was unfulfilled. And I started to ask myself questions like, am I actually happy? Do I like what I'm doing? Am I still passionate about the things that I'm doing every day to create success in my business? And why do I just not feel like getting up and getting into action and doing the necessary steps to get to where I want to go? And just feeling really disillusioned and unfulfilled. And so I started to ask myself questions. What do I personally need to do such that I can have transformation in my life and regain my happiness, get back into action, and get the results that I was looking for within my business, or possibly make changes completely with what I was doing personally and professionally? And so what I want to share with you today is a really great tool and some insight into the process that you go through when you set goals and start to work on them. And my hope is that you can take away some things that you can do different such that you start to see success. And when you look around in your reality, the results that you want are starting to show up and the feelings that you have align such that you are fulfilled, you are happy, you are enjoying the journey while you're on the way to where you want to go. And so the first thing I want to say, and this isn't going to be new news, yet it's really important. We're starting 2024. The question I have for all of you is, where are you going? Do you know? And so first step is to have a vision. And I always tell people, visualize your success before you succeed. This is so important to be able to do that. Without vision, people perish. So it's really important that you have a vision and you know where you're going in the bigger picture. And so a quick exercise you can do if you haven't put a lot of thought into your vision, a lot of people have and a lot of people do. And some people really struggle with looking past the next 30 days or the next year. And it's hard to look at, where do I want to be way out down the road, because I'm just focused on getting through today, right? And so a quick exercise you can do, I always like to tell people, just close your eyes and imagine that you are literally watching a movie. It is the best motion picture that you've ever seen, and it's playing out on the screen. And oh my gosh, it's actually you and your life. It's up there on the big screen. And maybe this is 5 years out, if that's as far as you can see, or 10 years out. So as far as you can see and visualize on that screen, on that picture, what do you see? And here's the beauty of it. I want you to look at your vision from a perspective of, you have all the time. So there's zero obstacles with time, and you have all the money. So you have all the money and all the time. Pretend I'm a genie and I say, boom, you got all the time and you have all of the money in the world. What are you doing, being, and having when it comes to all the areas of your life with your wealth and your career, right? How much money are you going to be able to make? And how much money are you going to be able to tithe and give back and contribute? What are you doing within the community? How are your relationships, possibly with your significant other, with those people in your family, your siblings, your children, your parents? What are the quality of those relationships? How's your health, right? Do you look great when you look into the mirror? Do you have energy? What's your mental health look like? How do you feel about yourself? What are some bucket list items you might be checking off? So go through all the areas of your life, the spiritual side, relationships, wealth, health, fun, adventure, and what do you see? Then come out of that and actually write it down on paper. Get it on paper. So that's a quick exercise you can do just to take a look at what's your vision? What's the bigger picture? Now, the next question is, what are your goals? I believe goals are stepping stones towards your vision. And so it's 2024. I just set my 2024 goals. Where do I want to be at by the end of the year? And they align with my vision of where I want to be going, right? If you don't know what you want, what are the chances of getting it? Zero. So it's really important you start to ask yourself those questions. What do I want based on my heart's desire, based on what matters to be, based on what fills up my cup, based on what my values are? Because if you don't decide and you don't start putting those into action, by default, your life is going to be designed by the values of those people around you, family, friends, coworkers, society. And next thing you know, you're going to be living your life not even feeling fulfilled because you're living other people's values. So it's really important you take control and design your life by setting your goals now at the beginning of the year so that you have intention and purpose for when you wake up every day around what you're doing and where you're spending your time. Okay, so that's first. Now, let's say you've got your goal set. You're excited, right? What's the feeling we usually have when we start something new or we reset something or we make a declaration? Usually we're excited because of the hope and the possibility of once we achieve that, we're going to be able to be, do, and have what comes next, right? And so you're excited. You start to get into action. You're working towards your goals. And what starts to happen? Adversity and obstacles. We don't know what we don't know. We set these new goals, we start to get into action, stuff starts to pop up. The bigger the goal, the bigger the obstacle, and unforeseen circumstances and obstacles start to get in our way to test us on how badly we say we want the things that we want. So, what happens when that goes on? Usually, feelings of frustration and anxiety pop up. We start to feel resistant. We don't really know what to do. We start to procrastinate a little bit. Maybe we start to feel stuck. And who here likes to feel frustrated and anxious? I like to call it fractious, right? Nobody likes to feel that way. Yet it's really common as an entrepreneur or a goal setter that when you set a goal and you start to work towards it, absolutely one guarantee we know is that obstacles are going to come up or areas of our goals where we need solutions around, and it's going to cause us internally to feel a bit frustrated and anxious. Now, here's the key. Okay, everybody, here's what I want you to know is that when those feelings come up, what most people choose to do, unfortunately, because nobody likes those feelings, is they choose to quit. Actually, around 95% of people choose to quit because nobody likes those feelings. And then they go and find something else that they want to do that's going to cause them to feel excited again, right? You know, the new year, what do we usually set goals around? Being healthy, right? Getting into shape. I'm going to try this method. You do it for just a little while. You come up against some obstacles. Oh, it's not working. I don't like this feeling. I'm going to go and do this method instead versus leaning into possibly what has to be different. Where do you need to invest? Where do you need to skill up such that you can break through and start to get results with what you are currently doing? Okay, so it's really important that you look into your life and the areas of your life and your goals and make sure you're not running that pattern, that when those feelings come up, you actually back away and go and look for something else to do, or else you're never going to move through and get to the things that you want in your life and create success. So, usually, the reason why people don't achieve their goals is two things. One, they've lost sight around their goal and why they wanted it in the first place because you just get stuck in the day to day and the tasks, right? And the nitty gritty. Or two, these feelings of frustration and anxiety start to pop up and you don't like it. So you stop doing the necessary activity to get to where you want to go. Okay. So just be aware, awareness before change. So now that you're aware and you're like, yeah, I've felt that. I get that. I definitely don't want to not get my goals. What's next? What do you want to focus on? You want to focus leaning into what's called the investment phase. Okay. Now, most people understand this concept, yet they don't like to spend a lot of time here because society and most people, and I am this way as well, I have to work on it. We like instant gratification. We want to set a goal, do a few things to move towards it, and then get the result already. So the key is to be willing to have some delayed gratification while you spend time in the investment phase developing the skills, okay, mastering some skills that actually allow you to be worthy of getting the results that you desire. So, what are some of the investment phase activities? This is income producing activities. So, if we're speaking about business here, most of you are entrepreneurs. Those would be things like making sure you have goals and a contact list and you're adding new people to it, right? Practicing inviting people to what you're offering or your product or your service is. Presenting, right? Learning the skill of how do you share such that people want what you have? How do you address the needs and problems of your audience or your target market in a really effective way? That takes practice. Things like following up with people. Most people don't like to follow up because they're scared of getting no's. Yet it typically takes 6 to 7 exposures or more before people make a decision. So being willing to have the courage to follow up with people and do that professionally, getting people started, asking for the sale, right? All of these things are skills that need to be developed when you start new things or you're in business. The other skill sets are things to do with the mindset, right? So are you reading? What are you putting into your mind? Input equals output. Are you doing things like meditation or journaling? Are you exercising? That helps our mindset as well. So whatever you like to do, what's your lane such that you can have a great attitude, attitude of gratitude and a great attitude of solutions and creativity and focusing on where you're going, because what we focus on grows, so that while you're in this investment stage, you have the mindset that goes with it. And so it's really important. So repetition is the mother of all skill. And when you repeat the skills and you improve on your skills, I like to say practice makes improvement, right? You're willing to lean in and practice. I had a mentor who always used to say, just like, you got to be willing to enjoy the suck, right? So be willing to not be good at something first to then be good at something. So think of something that you just know how to do. Like you're great at it. You didn't start off great at it. You had to start, right? So it's being willing to be a beginner again and just get started. And that's going to increase your confidence, right? So the better you get at something, the more you do something, the more you practice something, the more you develop your skills, your confidence goes up. And when your confidence goes up, you're willing to do things a little bit more outside the box, things that are a little bit less comfortable. You start to trust yourself more. That self doubt starts to go away. So action solves all problems. Okay. So being in the investment stage is really important. And the cool thing about that is when you're in the investment stage, guess what starts to happen? Once you put in your due time, you start to see results, and incremental results start to show up in your life around the goals that you're working on, whether it's money in your bank account, your relationships improving, the weight coming off, or having more energy, having an abundance of money to tithe and give back, or extra time to go and be of service, whatever it is that you're focusing on. Now, as you are in action and you're moving towards your goals, possibly like me, a lot of you who are listening to this, you've been in business for a while. And so you've been doing this. You're like, I've got the investment stage down. I've experienced some good times. I've had success. I've even felt the payback. We all have in our mind that one or two goals where we're like, if I can just get there, wow, everything will come into place, right? If I can accomplish that, I can do, be, and have anything. So we all have that ideal in our mindset about once I get there, then I can have this. Well, I know a lot of you on this call have done that. You've gotten there. You've experienced that euphoric feeling of achieving the success you'd laid out to achieve, right? And you were able to celebrate that. Yet here's the thing, and here's the truth. Typically, once people get there and you get to that payback, and you get to where you thought once you arrived, everything was going to be great. What's on the other side of that is more learning, more stress, disillusionment, discomfort, and possibly some unfulfillment. Because the truth is, if you make $100,000 and that was your goal, most likely now you have a lifestyle where you're spending 150,000, right? If you get to a certain level in your business, well, guess what comes with higher levels of leadership? More work, more growth, higher levels of skills, more people that you need to learn how to influence into getting their results. So, what comes when the euphoric payback feeling is higher levels of learning, growth, skill, understanding, effort from your part. And that can cause unfulfillment, right? That can cause some disillusionment. This is where I found myself last year. I'd been in my business for 12 years. I'm a global entrepreneur. I've traveled the world. I've been to Vietnam for my business. I was in Chile. I lived back and forth from South Africa to Canada, where I'm at. I built a really big network over in South Africa. I really felt that I was doing all of the things, right? People asked me for things. I was saying, yes. Can you come here? Yes. Can you help me? Yes. I was investing in my team. I was investing in my personal growth. I was working 10 to 12 hours a day. And for some reason, I just could not get to the next level of success. The people I was surrounding myself with were all the one percenters. My mentor's a multimillionaire. The people I hung out with were all very wealthy and philanthropists and had what I wanted, right? That's one key to success is spend time and surround yourself with people who have what you want. So I felt like I was quote unquote doing all the right things. And for whatever reason, I couldn't break through and get to that next level. And I found myself very disillusioned and I was unhappy and I was unfulfilled, yet I was going through the motions. And if I'm being really honest, I went through the motions for probably 2 to 3 years. And so I find it finally started to get pretty painful. I don't know if anyone on here can relate who's listening. And I started to ask myself questions like, is this what it's supposed to be like? Am I happy? And if I'm not, I'm the one who's in control of that. And I've got to be willing to make the necessary changes so I can have a personal transformation and a professional transformation with my results. What I did was I started to ask myself those questions. And the quality of the questions you ask yourself really is the quality of the life you're going to have. So if you can relate and you've been here before, or maybe you're here right now, here's a few things that you can do to lean into what I call transformation, where you can start to have advanced growth, right? You can level up, you can actually break through and get to the next level of whatever your idea of success is financially, with your time, with your relationships, in every area of your life. Okay, so there's a few things. The first one, taking a look at your identity and reassessing what is your identity that you've attached to yourself and is it serving you? Okay, now when I say identity, I don't mean what you do. A lot of people actually attach what they do to their identity. Like I'm a teacher, or I'm an athlete, or I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm a wife or a father. Okay, when I'm talking about identity, I'll give you an example. So there's a really great book. It's called The Gap in the Game by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. The High Achiever's Guide to Happiness, Confidence, and Success. This book is amazing. I highly recommend it. It was a it actually caused me to have a lot of changes in my life and look at how I was living. And they have a concept called the gap in the gain. Now, what I didn't realize that was that most of my life, because I am a high achiever, and the last 12 years, I've been an entrepreneur. And I've got really big goals and dreams and a vision that I want to create for myself and my family and my community. And I was going after it full throttle. A lot of people and myself would probably say I turned into a workaholic, and it's really what I was focused on. I was obsessed with getting to where I wanted to go within my business. Yet the one problem, well, not one, there's few. Yet the main problem that I realized in hindsight was I was living my life in what we call the gap. Okay, so what is the gap? The gap is when you have a goal. Okay, so that's your point A. And then you have an ideal, with that's your point B, where you want to be with that goal. And then there's where you're at, which is in the middle. So where you're at right now, okay, I want you all to think about that. And then your ideal, where you want to go. So there's a gap there because you haven't created the results from where you're at to where you want to go. That's the gap. And what high achievers do, and this is what I was doing, is I was feeling like it was never good enough. I'm never good enough. It's never good enough. So that never good enough feeling was always there because I was always chasing the ideal. I was chasing the success. I was chasing where I wanted to be. And in all honesty, when you do that, and I didn't realize this, you come from lack, you come from scarcity, you come from not enough. And therefore, your reality starts to represent that. And you hang out in the land of the gap where it is unfulfilling. Like for me, that was mic drop. Wow, huge awareness. This is how I'm living my life. No wonder why I'm not happy. And so, what you want to do, if this resonates with you, is you want to look at your life from the gain. And what is the gain? The gain is where you came from, and then taking a look at where you're at now and measuring your success backwards. So, what have you created? What have you achieved? What are your wins? What have you learned? Who have you become? And when I started to do that, my mind was blown. I was like, wow, like I'm a global entrepreneur. I'm a female who's traveled the world and went to all these amazing countries and built massive networks. I've invested in people and left people better than they found them. I've learned leadership skills and sales skills and business skills. And, I could go on and on and on when I start to look at the wins and what I have gained from where I first started. And so I encourage you, if you're listening and this resonates, to reflect on that for yourself, right? And when you start to look at what you've gained, you start to realize, wow, there's lots for myself to be grateful for. There's lots for myself to be proud about myself for. And then you start to come from abundance. And that's what I realized with my identity, is that I actually was coming from a scarcity identity versus an abundant identity. And no wonder why. It didn't matter how hard I worked, how much I did, how many hours I put in, I could not create the result that I wanted because my mindset and my thinking was gap, scarce, lack thinking, lack identity, never enough. Okay. And so what is your identity, and is it serving you? And you may need to shake that up and really take a look in the mirror and start asking yourself those questions. And so that's my goal this year, is to put the identity of abundance on and come from gain thinking and measuring my success backwards as I move towards my ideal and the things that I want, so that I can attract and bring in abundance and results. Okay. The other thing that you want to look at, there's 5 things. So one is the identity. Number 2 is your relationships. So who are you spending your time with? If you have goals and results that you want in your life, are you spending time with people who have what you want, right? Who are you listening to? Are you taking guidance and advice from people who have what you want? Do you have mentors? Do you have a mastermind? Do you have a circle of influence of people that will help raise you up? Kind of like that idea. You never want to be the smartest one in the room where you have nowhere to go but down, right? So you want to surround yourself with people that lift you up. Possibly in 2024, you need to stop spending time with a certain group of people and start allowing yourself time to spend with other people that are going to help you get to where you want to go. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stop hanging out with friends and certain family members and whatnot. Yet you might have to set some boundaries in place, right? And start looking at and networking and finding people that align with your values and your vision and what you want to create for yourself in your life. Okay. The third one is skills. And yes, you have a certain amount of skills up until this point in your life. Yet if you want to have advanced growth and you want to go to the next level, it really truly is going to be about willing to, once again, as I said earlier, be the beginner, right? And develop some new skills that are necessary for you to achieve different results. If you want something different, you have to be willing to do something different. Okay. This is my first podcast episode, everybody. And I am the least techie person ever. Okay. In my business for 12 years, I would get people to make my flyers for me because I didn't know how to make flyers and use Canva and, do most things that have to do with technology. It's way outside my comfort zone. I love this. I love talking to people. I consider myself a people person. And now I get to tell myself, speaking about identity, I have to be careful that I don't keep reinforcing, oh, I'm not good at technology. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to technology, because I'm reinforcing that story. Now I'm saying, hey, I'm learning. I'm willing to learn. And every day I get better, right? Because I am going to master technology and what I need to master for me to be successful in my business. And so learning new skills, what would those be for you? Okay, the fourth thing is purpose. Do you know what your purpose is? Do you understand what your passions are? Do you know why you're doing the things that you're doing? If you wake up every morning and your life is a task, you're going to lose the internal inspiration to be in action and to get outside your comfort zone to do the things necessary. Okay. If you have to be externally motivated, that is a slippery slope. Okay. And that doesn't feel good for anybody involved. It's about being internally inspired. And when you know what your purpose is and you know what your mission is in life, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to wake up in the morning and do the necessary steps. And it also makes it easier to understand what to say yes to, understand what to say no to, how to set your goals in the first place. And this is where real fulfillment comes in, when we're doing things that align with our heart and our soul. So playing around with that idea of what is your purpose and passions and what is your mission here in life. Okay. And then the fifth thing is leverage. If you want advanced growth, how do you have what I like to call leverage, which is freeing up your time? Okay. So that you can spend your time and your skills necessary where they need to be. I just talked to you guys about technology, right? I'm not the greatest at it. I am learning. Although I'm not going to spend the time learning how to edit videos, do my website, and all these things that will take up so much time for me when I can pay someone else to do that. And I can spend my time elsewhere on income producing activities, right, for my business. And so having leverage is really important. Leverage can also be financially. What kind of systems do you have in place such that you could do something one time and step back and the money's still working for you? So asking yourself those questions, if you're trading time for money, you do not have leverage. So how do you stop trading time for money and put certain systems in place and a business model in place where it frees up your time? Okay. And to start to ask yourself those questions. So those 5 things: identity, your relationships, skilling up, finding your purpose, and creating leverage will support you in going through transformation so you can level up, skill up, and get to the next level of advanced growth. And that's what I'm working on right now for 2024. It does not happen overnight, yet it's being willing, like I said, awareness before change, ABC, to really become aware of what's working in your life and where can things improve, and be really honest with yourself and start to make those changes. So just in closing, I wanted to read this quote from Hal Elrod. If any of you don't know him, he's really great. He has the book Miracle Morning Mindset, and then he created another book, which is one of my favorites, called The Miracle Equation. It's all about extraordinary effort plus unwavering faith equals miracles. And this is what he has to say about goals. So he says, remember, the purpose of a goal is not to reach it, but to develop the qualities and characteristics of someone who can accomplish significant goals. Who you are becoming is even more important than what you are doing. And yet the irony is that what you are doing is largely determining who you are becoming. So like my mentor always used to tell me, success is forward progress towards your worthy goals. So if you have goals and you're getting up every day and you're doing your best to move towards them, you are successful. And so I wish you all an amazing 2024. And with love, greatness, and success, it's Kelley Beveridge. Okay, I hope you found that episode helpful in building some awareness around the feelings that you will go through as an entrepreneur and a goal getter once you set a goal and you start to work towards your desired result. And so if you want even further support, I recommend you check out the link in my show notes around an online course I have called the Success Achievement Blueprint. It'll help you get clear on what your goals are, what you want, make a plan, and give you some mindset tools and strategies such that when adversity comes up and obstacles come up, you have some extra ammo in your back pocket to keep on moving towards the things that you desire. Also, if you'd love to be a part of my community, I would absolutely love to have you. You can click the link below to join my Facebook group, or if you want to subscribe to my monthly newsletter, I would love that, just so you can be in the loop as to what's available to you for support to get your goals and grow your business. And then lastly, I just want to share, I am an affiliate with a skincare and nutritional company called New Skin. And below as well, you can have access to about 30% off all the products. These are products that I've used They're amazing, world-class, clinically proven, innovative products in skincare and nutrition. I've used them for 12 years. I'm 46. I feel like I look pretty great with my skin and I have tons of energy. And I believe being an entrepreneur is about looking great and feeling great, right? We've got to have energy so we can do the things to get to where we want to go. And so that's available to you as well. And so with love, greatness, and success, thanks for being here.